Your privileges and limitations. Privileges, you have quite a few. You now carry passengers, which is cool. When you're a student and you're soloing, you cannot carry people, just you. That's why it's called solo. You're flying by yourself only. When you're a student, you can only fly by yourself or with a CFI. You can fly anywhere, in theory. You can even fly internationally. There's other regulations you have to follow if you want to fly international, and there's different requirements for the plane, but you could do it. You can fly for charity, which is cool, and even better, you can fly for charity and the organization could reimburse you for fuel. So you don't get paid per se, but you have to get that approved by the Flight Standards District Office, FSDO for short. Because ultimately you cannot get paid. You cannot be compensated to fly. You're a private pilot, not commercial. You can't get paid to do anything. So you can get reimbursed for fuel for charity. You could become an aircraft salesperson once you have 200 hours of PIC. So because you're getting paid to sell the airplane, not to fly. So even though you're taking up people to like showcase the plane, you're taking off and landing at the same airport that you took off from. Your commission or whatever is because you sold the plane, not because you flew them somewhere. You can get reimbursed by search and rescue, that's what that means, or the government. So if you help with the search and rescue mission, they could reimburse you for the fuel and operating costs. Also, ultimately, it's a license to learn. This is the first license that you get, certificate that you get. You can now move forward. You can get other certificates. You can learn how to fly other planes. It opens up a whole new world of learning. And you should always be learning as a pilot, no matter what level or how many hours that you have. The compensation is part of your limitations. You can't get paid. You cannot pay less than the pro rata share, which just means if you're planning a flight, you're planning to fly to Monterey, and you want to take your friend with you or your family member. There's two of you. They can split the operating costs with you. You both have to pay an even amount, though. And you're the pilot, you would be going with or without that person. So you're not flying them because they asked you, hey, can you take me to Monterey so I can go to this event? And you're like, yeah, let's just split the cost and I'll take you. Can't do that because you were not planning on going unless they were going. Pilot has to pick the destination. It's called common purpose. So if you were planning to go to Monterey because you're going to a wedding and your friend's like, hey, I have a business conference in Monterey. Can I hitch a ride with you? Yeah, you're going with or without them. So yeah, sure, you can go and you can split the costs. But if you're going to a wedding in Monterey and they ask you to drop them off at Salinas on the way there because they have a conference in Salinas, no, you can't do that because you weren't going to Salinas originally. You were only going to Monterey. So now you are a commercial operator, which you're not allowed to do. So you can't pay less than pro rata, and you have to have a common purpose. And you will not find the term common purpose in the regulations because it's case law. There was a case years ago where the FAA was like, yeah, I mean, you weren't planning on going, and you got to do this flight that you didn't plan for cheaper because you split the cost, and you got the hours out of it. Hours count as compensation. Common purpose, pro rata. We're also limited to VFR weather minimums, which we will go into on another day because it's a long topic. Basically, depending on whatever airspace you're in, because there's different types of airspace that have different rules, and they have different weather minimums, which ultimately is just you need a certain amount of visibility and you need a certain clearance away from clouds because you're not allowed to fly into the clouds if you're flying VFR, private pilot. That's where you get your instrument rating if you want to go into the clouds.